Hi, today I'm on the outskirts of a village called Newborough in Aberdeenshire, and I'm walking across the Forvie Nature Reserve to see if I can camp in an area where there was an old medieval village. There's remains of a church there, and the plan is to set up a basher and camp the night under a tarp. Now, the problem is it's very, very busy with dog walkers and walkers, so I'm probably going to have to wait until it's gone dark until I can set my basher up. But first of all, let's get there and we'll see if that's the case. This is the remains of Forvie Church. It was built in the 7th century and was dedicated to St Adam Nan. The kirk was rebuilt in the 12th century, and the 12th century remains are what we see here. Now, when the kirk was initially built, a small village sprung up around it, and about 1,000 people lived here, and they farmed the land surrounding the kirk. Now, in the early 1400s, the village and the kirk started to get overrun by the dunes. Sand was blowing into the village and it started to cover the buildings. Now, on the 18th of August 1412, a massive storm blew up and it raged for 9 days. And at the end of that storm, the village was completely buried under sand. Nothing remained of the village at all, but the villagers dug it out and carried on living here for a further 200 years. And eventually, in the early 1600s, the village had been completely overrun by sand again, and the villagers gave up. They gave up and they left the building, they left the village abandoned. Now, the local records in Newborough of 1646 record this place as abandoned and overrun. So by 1646, it was definitely had been recorded as nobody living here. Now, local folklore says that this was down to 3 sisters. Now, these 3 sisters lived in this village and they were due to inherit a large amount of property and money. And the locals were not very happy about this, so they decided to bundle them into a boat and set them adrift, hoping that they were going to die out at sea. Now, those 3 women, they struck up a deal with the devil and they cursed the village. They cursed the village to be wiped off the face of the earth. And that was when the storm blew up. Now, that's the local story. Now, the reality of it is probably a little bit duller. This coast has had large periods of erosion followed by large periods of deposition, where sand is deposited and the land is built back again. And these sand dunes at their height were 100 feet high. And that has gone on up the whole of the east coast. Now, during these periods, many villages have been overrun and lost to the sands. And that's pretty much what happened in the 1400s here. The sea was bringing sand in, and the wind was also carrying sand inland and covering all the fertile ground. So that's what happened here. The sand overrun the village and it was abandoned. I hope you found that interesting. It's a small snippet of history. There's lots of history around here. There's also Neolithic ring cairns just over there. There's castles up that way. It's a fantastic bit of ground. Now, I'm hoping I should be able to get a bivvy up in here, but as you've seen on my walk in, lots of people around, absolutely tons of people around here, and I can understand why. It's a beautiful bit of Aberdeenshire, but I could do with there not being so many people, so I could get set up. So here we go. Let's see if I can get set up. Okay, that's me set up. A bit of fiddling about. It's not your kind of conventional tarp pitch really, constrained by the two walls, but I'll show you round. But yeah, the forecast is for quite high winds tonight, and I thought I might be sheltered within these walls, but I am getting knocked around a bit by the wind already, so hopefully the basher will stay up overnight. But I am in a bivvy bag, so worst comes to worst, I'll just flatten the whole thing and just sleep underneath it, because I'll stay dry anyway. But I should be alright. But I'll show you what I've set up any road. So kit for tonight is Leviathan 4-season bag inside a British Army Gore-Tex bivvy bag on top of a Dutch Army foam pad. I've got a waterproof sheet, my good kind of do-all tarp on the floor just to keep me damp, keep the damp from coming up, and that's pretty much it. I've bought my common mountain stove to cook my tea, and as you saw, I've got my seat there because no one wants to sit on the ground. So that's me. So what I'll do is I'm going to wait for it to get a little bit darker, and then I'm going to get the tea on. So I'll get my dinner on when it gets dark, and I'll see you then. Whew. Well, it's finally got dark. It's about 7:30 and time to get some food on. And today I've been exceptionally lazy and I've gone on the full-on pot noodle, but because I like my spicy food, kimchi pot noodle. Yeah, as ever, because I need the calories, I'm going to slice up some pepperonis and whack that in. And pudding, cold rice pudding, you either do or you don't. And tonight's tipple is some Pepsi Max and some Duppy Share Jamaican rum and coke. So I'll fire up the burner and I'll bring you back when the noodles are made. There we go, that's that on. And I'm right up against the gable wall because, as predicted, the wind really has got up and the basher is bouncing around a bit. I've picked up some rocks and put them on top of all the pegs, so hopefully they'll stay in. But as I said earlier, if I lose the bivvy in the middle of the night, I'll just roll up in the tarp and just carry on, because I'm in a bivvy bag anyway, so I'll be alright. And there's no rain forecast, just high winds. But anyway, I'll get back to you when the noodles are done. Well, dinner's ready. I do like that Coleman stove. I mean, it boils really fast and you forget how long a meths burner takes until you start using one of these things. So very impressed, really good. So there we go, my a big tub of ramen is ready to rock, and I've opened up my rice pudding and I shall really enjoy that. And yeah, and I am going to spare you the sight that is me slurping noodles down, and I'll come back to you when I am relaxing with a rum and coke. So I'll see you then. Well, that's my dinner down and thoroughly enjoyed it. I do like a spicy noodle and rum and coke to finish, and just chilling out, and the stars are absolutely amazing tonight. So I am gonna get some stills. I brought my big camera with me, so I'm gonna get some stills and I'll put them on the video when I go to bed. One thing I didn't mention when I was talking about the history, which I think is pretty cool, is on the 23rd of September every year, which is St. Adamnan's Day, I think that's how you pronounce it, they hold like a service here, and all the kind of god people, the religious people, I'm not sure what flavour of religious people they are, they come here and they hold a service, which is pretty cool really, and I've been doing it for quite a long time. So maybe if I can find one, I'll put a picture of it up to show you what that's like. But I think that's still pretty cool. It kind of keeps this in touch with it still being a church and a religious place, because you know it's been a special place for Christian folk since the 7th century, and I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm waffling now, so I'm going to drink my rum, and I'm going to kick back and look at the stars, and if I get some good pictures I'll put them up in the video just when I go to bed. So I'll see you next when I'm in my bivvy getting ready for my bag. So I'll see you then. It's rum o'clock. Well, that's me in my bivvy bag under the tarp, and by golly the wind's got up now, so I think it's going to be a wild night, but I think I'm pretty much covered, unless the rain can get through sideways through that granite wall. I'm pretty much dry, and I think I've just got to ride the storm. As long as this thing doesn't take off like a parachute in the middle of the night, I'm okay. So I am going to listen to my book and get my head down and get some kit. I'd like to thank Outdoor Alley for giving me a plug on his live stream a minute ago. I wished I could have watched all the live stream, but my 4G signal's pretty poor here. I think it's the granite walls, but thank him. Cheers, mate. Thanks for giving me a plug. I do appreciate it. So I'll see you all in the morning. I'm getting up in the dark because I'm going to get back nice and early to take my doggo out. So it'll be up in the dark and yomp back to the car. Until then, I'll listen to my book and chill out for a bit and get some kit. So I'll see you in the morning. Ta-ra. Well, good morning. Well, as you can see, it's still blowing a gale outside, and the wind's been pretty strong all night. And I'd forgotten quite how breezy it is sleeping in a basher on the ground, because it's been a while. But nevertheless, it's just before 6 o'clock. I'm going to get a brew on, get this packed up, and head off back to the van. So I'll speak to you when I get home, and I'll tell you the highs and the lows of the trip. So until then, I'll say ta-ra. Well, that's me back home, and all in all that was a pretty brilliant trip. In fact, there was only really one negative, and that was down to me. While I was waiting for it to go dark, I somehow convinced myself that I hadn't locked my van. So yeah, I had to walk all the way back to the van, only to find that, yeah, of course I'd locked the van. I don't know, I think I'm going mad in my old age, but you know, other than that, a brilliant night. Yeah, of course it was a bit blowy and using a tarp in a windy situation makes for quite an entertaining night. Yeah, it was flapping around all night, but hey, it was good fun. Now, while I was waiting for it to go dark, I also took a walk along the coast, and I found an absolutely amazing place called Hackley Bay, and I'm definitely going to go back there and camp. It is a beautiful little spot, a very isolated little beach with steep granite steps that take you down to the beach, and there's a little flat kind of plateau area at the bottom that I think I could pitch a tent. So I'm definitely going to go back and have a look at that. So yeah, a brilliant trip. The Forvie Nature Reserve is beautiful. It's well worth a visit. And what I will do is I'll put an Ordnance Survey route map in the description, but I'll also put the what 3 words links for where I parked, where the church was, and where Hackley Bay is. So you can, if you're in that area, you can go and take a look yourself. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. And if you're not subscribed, click the subscribe box. I'm a small channel, and every little thumbs up or comment helps the algorithm find me and helps the channel grow, if you know what I mean. Okay, that all being said, I'd say thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra.